sound. Better rise up when I shut this down. I feel like king of the hill when they're never gonna take my crown. That's the type of my sound. Better rise up when I shut this. Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. I feel like king of the hill when they're king of the hill.
My God.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You take me to a place unknown. I wonder if I'll ever go. My thoughts just won't leave me alone. Give me the strength to carry on. I wanna show you love. I wanna feel your touch. I want it all, but I keep running away, running away. I wanna show you love. I want it all too much. I wish I could, but I just can't. I can't get over love.
A very good evening to one and all. Today we are going to be having a panel discussion here at the Skyesports Grand Slam stage. It's a discussion marking the 75th anniversary of India and Indonesia, its diplomatic relationship, as well as the budding esports scene that we are seeing in both these regions. And with that, I also have esteemed guests with me right here on stage. Starting with, I want to introduce Ami Raditya, Advisor Association Game Indonesia.
Thank you.
Mr. Ivan Chen, founder Anantarupa Studio. Mrs. Sere Kellini, founder GRDX, founder Gamecom Indonesia, CEO Prometheus Interactive Group. And we also have Sriram Vishal, head of Esports, Skyesports. Along with them, we do have also the perspective of the players who are joining in from Indonesia. We saw them play today. It's going to be Denvi, the team captain, along with Fired Up, a player from God's Reign. Wonderful. Let's start with discussion with how the current evolution of esports is in both the regions. Mr. Rami, you can start off with us of how the scene right now is in Indonesia and how you look at it for India as well, along with also the developing smartphones that everybody has, right? With that, so many games that people are able to play and start off esports for their career. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think we have so much similarity between Indonesia and India. We have a huge market here. India is the biggest population in the world today. And Indonesia is the fourth largest population in the world today. And nowadays, because we all have smartphones and we can all have access to the games and everybody plays video games. In Indonesia, we have almost like 50% of the population is gamer, mainly mobile gamer. And I believe in India is also same like that. So that's why when I see the tournament yesterday, you have Valorant and you have Counter-Strike here. I think the feel is same. It's not much different between India and Indonesia. And I think because we have the same ground, same common ground, I think it's very nice to have good relationship, and maybe we can work together to make something more. We make game together. So we don't be like just another market for the games outside. We can make our own game. I think so, I think like that.
I agree with you. I think with both India and Indonesia working together and also coming up with 75th anniversary, right? We are looking forward to a lot more down the year.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with you. Now, I want to ask Sere as well. Now, what do you think is propelling this growth for everybody, not just as players, but also from the organization perspective, so that you also have your academy lineup? We saw them playing today. What is propelling all these players as well as the growth of esports?
I think the propelling factor is, again, the smartphones being so affordable to everyone. So game is very accessible for everyone, all age, all genders, and all level of education can play games right now. In Garuda Wisnu Esport Academy, we mainly focus on students. So we create a platform where we can introduce new games, especially local games, to students through extracurricular, through competition, and so on. So I think, yeah, the propelling factors, it will be because right now, I mean, compared to PC gamings, mobile phones, mobile games make gaming industry, you know, very big, especially, I mean, like during 2020, the pandemic, everyone is locked down, you cannot do anything other than playing games, so that's also like a huge factor as well in gaming industry.
I agree with you. I think around that 2020, a lot of people shifted towards gaming a lot more, and it became evident for everybody this is also a growing and budding scene. And as you mentioned about localization, right? I want to ask Ivan about that. How crucial is it to make sure that all these games that we end up seeing that players are playing, a localized strategy which enables players as well as orgs to come up so that everybody as a whole is benefited and we see a big and upcoming scene. Right now we are seeing that growth. So how crucial is a localization strategy?
Why my question is a lot harder than everyone.
I'm going to go with similar
Okay.
questions to everybody.
So I'm going to start with this. Okay, so esports ecosystem is growing well for the past couple of years, especially over the pandemic. But the game industry grows very well in the world. I can see the growth is more than 137% over the pandemic. But if we look into the revenue that resulted from the esports industry, it's capped around 1 billion US dollar. And why is that? The more that I can see why the gaming industry goes a lot more forward, and esports is one of the key factor. But there is simply a few titles where everyone can invest their time in. I mean, with the amount of the players that's available there and the increasing appetite for brands, for other esports organizers, we need more titles. Unless we can crack this open, I mean, for either local game developers to develop esports titles and then put more titles in the industry or in the ecosystem of esports, the esports industry will cap there and everyone will fight each other.
I like that you mentioned about this capping, and I want to ask Sriram, continuing this question, as he mentioned, right? There are so many games that you need to push for. Excuse me. And as he mentioned that we are looking forward to localization, we need to push for a lot of games. Looking at head of esports, what do you feel about that? How crucial is it? Localization strategies, newer games that need to be pushed, and more people should be made aware of a lot more esports so that the industry as a whole grows from that cap.
So yeah, thank you, Sam. First of all, I extend my warm welcome to all the dignitaries here as well. And to answer your question, I want to first agree with what Sere had mentioned as well as what Ms. Hame had mentioned regarding a few similarities which both the Indian as well as the Indonesian industry has to offer. Firstly, we can all agree that both the markets are mobile first, and ever since 2019 and 20, especially after the pandemic, the growth for both these industries have been massive. And looking at making titles in the own country, right? Like how Ms. Seri had mentioned about making more titles from Indonesia. There is a push for that. I also see a similarity on that because we have the Make in India over here, and there have been a lot of game titles both for different platforms by Indian studios. So I see a lot of this common ground in terms of localization. So when you're looking at esports as an industry, it's not only about the titles, but also how you are bringing it to the audience. And when you look at all the esports tournaments, that I can give an example of what we have been doing with Skyesports as well. And over the years, we have been localizing it even in terms of the distribution of the content, where wherever we are streaming our games, we do it with multiple languages that the country has. Like, we have done about 12 languages until now for a single event as well. So I think that's key because at the end of it, it has to reach to a lot of people. And I would say one of the top ways how we can use that is through localizing all the content as well as distribution platforms. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that in terms of, as you mentioned, right, being a multilingual country here, pushing for languages all over the space so that everybody, irrespective of whether they know the title or not, they get aware of it. It's crucial, and as you guys mentioned, we have to push as somebody who's a representative or an icon that it has to reach a wider audience. And coming to the upcoming icons that we have are the esports players. So I want to start with Fired Up, who's right next to him. So how is it for you as a player's perspective, right? Because it's not, as they mentioned, there's a lot of challenges as well as a cap over in terms of revenue. And as revenue, you need to keep playing this, you also need a revenue. So how is it for you as an esports player in this developing scene? Because as they mentioned, right, even when we had a pandemic, there was a change and an upgrade that we also moved into. There was a paradigm shift that we all saw. How was that for you before and how is it now?
Before 4 to 5 years before, it was not like this as we expected. It have changed a lot, especially after the COVID and the launch of BGMI, like PUBG Mobile. As everybody said, that mobile esports have helped a lot for the whole esports teams, including the PCs games like Counter-Strike and Valorant. So it is like 2 or 3 years before, I will never expect this to happen in India. But the pace we are growing, it's very good. And we are trying our best to help the orgs and every TOs to promote the game and try to do something for our country. And let's see, hope the graph is always high and we keep on improving.
I like what you mentioned, right? At the end of the day, irrespective of the platform that it was being played in, it did give a boost to the whole esports industry itself. So looking at that perspective, I also want to hear your thoughts from Indonesia as a player, right? Every scene in general, when you're starting, it's not easy. But when you get to a stage, you also get responsibilities of not just performing well, but also that your audience back home is looking at you. So how do you feel about that at when times that you became a representative and like maybe the face of coming in from Indonesia when you're representing an e-sport background?
For me, the experience in this venue first time, this venue is good, but maybe this trouble is about audio. This audio is a very big trouble for me because from there is Valorant. Yeah, the Valorant sound is very very high and it's annoying too. Yeah, but this venue is good. Maybe for me, recommendation is for next tournament. If you have 2 tournaments, maybe if give a space. So in there is like Valorant like there, and this is Counter Strike, and yeah, for me, it's good.
I really like he's concentrated on his perspective where he wants to make sure that he performs the best and has no distractions. And I really I was going to divulge to that topic. So Sere, we can ask you, as he was mentioning about the challenges, right? There are challenges to grow this scene. So what have been the challenges for you? Because you have this lineup that you've brought in, the academy lineup, you're making sure that the students get a platform to play on and also put their best. So what challenges as an org have you faced?
The biggest challenges that we have faced as an eSport Academy back in Indonesia is getting the consent from the parents and the teachers to bring game into students' life. Because they haven't, maybe like I get it. There's like a generational gap of knowledge, of understanding about esports. Esports is very young. It's a very new industry that maybe our parents, even my parents, doesn't understand what I'm doing right now. But yeah, so the biggest challenges would be like giving some explanation, like how important the positive side of gaming, the positive side of esports, how we can compete in a healthy way to also develop like a good teamwork. We can develop like a critical thinking and also other positive outcome that we can get from game. So I think that's for me. I think it's pretty much similar, right? Every parent is kind of worried when their kids playing games too much. But yeah, I mean, for me, from a esport academy side, I think that's my biggest obstacle.
I agree. I think it was the same for me also, and everybody here agrees that telling your parents is I'm gaming for life, like, is that a career? Is a question. I agree. But I want to move to Amir Aditya. As you're an advisor, right? As she mentioned, those challenges are there, and
Yeah.
being an advisor from that association for Indonesia, what? How do you look forward to tackling this challenge so that the wider audience at the end of the day know? Because sports, as general, everybody knows this is a performing
Yeah,
platform, but esports, they're still skeptical.
I think we have to separate between playing too much video games and esport, because esport is another kind of beast. It's different. It's not just playing games. You have a competition there. You have a prize. Maybe if you want to get your parents' approval, you have to at least show them how big money can you get if you win that game. So they will support you, not as a gamer, but as a sports, as an athlete. I think that's the solution.
I agree with you completely. I think people kind of get confused in that slight edge of gaming is same as esports. Esports is different. It is as
Esport is
equal as sports, and the player has to get to that mentality where he's ready to perform, right? Completely agree with you. Now coming to you from the studio's perspective, right? Because you've worked in game development, you're in the studio. How do you look forward to competing or making sure that when you have these challenges for an esports perspective, how do you look forward to changing that?
Okay. So for my perspective, the medium is changing over time. I mean, like, it is not just gaming. Back then in 17th centuries, novels were banned in Europe because the parents were concerned about young people start reading novels and cannot stop. We can see these patterns in 1980s, and then in 1990s we have like parents who concerned about their kids reading all the comic books from Japan, from everyone in the world. And then in 2000s we have MTV generations, young people who sit in front of the TV all the time. But here's the thing, the growth or the expansion of the media is inevitable. It is the technology. You become like digital native the time your parents gave you the gadgets. But the question is not about how are we going to stop it, no, but how we grow along with it. How we grow, how we put like a value in the games. That's from my perspective. That's why my studio create games that have cultural values, because we want to introduce these values through game as a medium, and our games also fall in esports category. So I think, yeah, that's the way we do it. So a lot of last year we create like a event in Indonesia in 8 provinces called Satria Mahardika. It is actually particularly for junior high school and senior high school. At first, it needs us to compile like more than 70 letters, official letters from the local and central governments in order to push it. But after this event, because we start to cater the talents, we bring like education to the young people and to the parents and to the teachers. And so, a lot of high schools and junior high schools, they want us to prepare like a syllabus for extracurriculum. That's how we do it.
I really like this. Like when we were talking initially, gaming in general is a challenge. But when you make gaming with values, right, it eventually tells people, okay, if you're doing with gaming, I think there's something a little more that even parents can experience. And I think when we were coming up, our parents never had that exposure to gaming in PC or mobile. They looked at it as a medium of communication or exchanging stuff rather than it being gaming. I really like that. Now we'll head over to Sriram, similar as this. Coming in from the challenges spectrum of India, right? We've seen all of this, just like how they mentioned. We have seen, even with the growth, we have seen a lot of people making sure that let's not push in there, dwell there. There might not be a future. But how would you say that there is, and with such a growing pace that we are seeing in the industry?
See, I can start with this that I think most of the people on the dais here, we would have faced issues convincing our parents that we want to take this line. And that goes with me as well. So back then, like, I've been in this industry for about 10 years. And when I first wanted to get into this, convincing my parents was a pretty hard challenge because at that point of time, like you said, exposure. People at that point of time did not know much about what esports is and the differentiation between esports and gaming, where at that point of time, gaming was just still a leisurely activity. And nowadays we have athletes. So I think at that point of time it was a challenge. But even right now, if you're looking at it, there are two ways how we can tackle that, and we have been, especially with what we are doing with Skyesports as well. Two key areas which I feel how we can tackle that and to get that exposure is promoting esports and gaming tournaments through grassroots. So that reaches a wider amount of audience and people get to know what is actually the long game for esports. So that's one way how we can look at it. And the other more important way where we can make a change in this sense is the support which the government, the state and the central government gives and recognizes esports. And I would say like Indonesia has been one of the earliest countries to recognize this in this region in particular. And of late in the last 2-3 years, India has been making a really good progress in that as well. And we ourselves are in close touch with the state and central governments trying to promote esports and work with them and get that awareness around. And I think going by this way in a few years, that awareness is going to reach even to tier 3 and 4 towns and cities. And I think that's where the focus should be, and that's where we need to look forward for.
I like everybody is moving to the next topic that I was bringing about government and diplomatic relationship, how it's going to help, right? But before I dwell there, I want to ask the player's perspective as well. As you guys mentioned, right? Telling our parents, tackling the challenge, as Ivan mentioned, having those games that you inculcate in your school. And you, as mentioned, you have an academy lineup coming through and you try to help students over there. So I want to ask from Fired Up right now. I don't know how your background started from, but now you see there is a scene where there are those grassroots level tournaments, college level tournaments coming up. So how do you see that from where you are started from?
So in my time also there were college tournaments. So I used to play a lot of college tournaments. But for 2 to 3 years, I never said my parents what I'm doing. I used to go to college, and after college I used to travel to cafe. So once I started doing good in local, so I started playing nationals, and after I actually qualified for an international event, then I said to my parents. So parents were like, yeah, it's good. So I didn't have to do the hard part, I have to do this, I have to that. I just already achieved first, and then I said to my parents, and they were like, okay. Because I was studying at the same time and I was playing too. So after completing my graduation, which was last year, I started pursuing this as a full-time career. So I've been playing and representing India from the past 3 years. And hopefully, whatever time I'm playing, I'll make sure that I do good.
I like this, the thought process that you came up with, fake it till you make it, right? You didn't let your parents know or anybody around you, but you kept going at it. And now you're at a stage that everybody you can tell them that I'm in esports. Rather than going around, I'll try esports, which is tough convincing.
And people are also taking much interest to, asking about what you are doing. Like whenever you go to an airport, like for wearing Indian jersey or wearing any country jersey and you say that I'm an esports player, they are interested that like what is esports? Like what game do you play? How is it? So the scene is growing, and hopefully, like in future, it will be good.
Yeah, I think as you guys travel also, it helps you when somebody asks you and it makes you proud, right, as a player. And I really like that. I want to ask the same thing here for Denvi. I want to know your thought about it as a player, how you've faced from you starting on esports to now how it is for you.
Esport in Indonesian or in Indonesia? Oh, I'm start about the playing game and follow the tournament is from junior high school until now. I'm 27 age. So from my perspective, esport is really growing up, and my trouble is parent too. In first time, my mother's is really angry about like, why you playing game, why you playing game, why you playing game. But the support, really support is my father, but now he's passed. And when I become here, my mother is first question is, what you doing in India? And I say, I join the tournament, and yeah, he's happy because this is my first experience tournament in international. So I think I want to say to all of the parents, you must believe your son. If someday maybe your son will be like an athlete or something, just support what he like doing is like playing game or something. Just support. That's for me.
I think this is very similar as how he also mentioned you also. It feels happy to hear this kind of a story. Initially that your mother was like, why are you playing games at all times? But now that she sees you flying overseas and playing somewhere representing your region, it makes her also proud. I'm so happy to hear that. And now coming into the government and diplomatic questions, Sere, we'll start with you. So now with your team coming down here and also India and Indonesia having this relationship to push esports further, right? How much crucial is it? Now this is one game. And as you mentioned, right, there are various titles that we are looking forward to. And this is 75th anniversary. And there's a lot more years that we have, right? And we'll try to push. So how crucial do you think now coming in one team, next time we might see 10, 20 teams coming down and playing?
It's very crucial. I mean, with this celebrating 75 years of diplomacy relationship between India and Indonesia, and this is a big start, I think. So I mean, like I'm really excited to see what's coming next year and the next 2 years and the next 3 years, and like for as long as it could be, to actually like maybe like have new titles, you know, and then like have new games. Maybe like this year we have like PC games, Counter-Strike 2. Maybe next year we have mobile games that is very big. We can create like regional qualifiers in each country, and then we can meet like from both champion. I think it will be very, very exciting for the community, for the players they have a new platform and maybe like a new purpose in their career, because I met a lot of players, then they think that their scene, the game that they're focusing on, like their scene is not really growing. It's like they don't get enough competition happening in their country, in their city. So maybe with this collaboration, with this event, we can open and venture into a new path of careers, right? I think like all the players will be excited. Everyone seems like, maybe like I met a lot of players that they gave up on their dreams because they don't see the future. They don't see enough competition going on. So they don't think like, oh, it's only there's only chance for like 10 teams, you know, or like 8 teams. So we're creating new events, we're creating new platform for them to actually chase again the dream, you know. I think like that's very important, because this industry is very young. It's still in the beginning. It's only getting bigger and bigger every year. So it will be very crucial that we can create a lot more platforms for them.
I agree. I think gaming as a scene or a platform, there's no age limit for it. So anybody of any span, wherever they're in, as you also said, might be they've given up, but they can come back once the scene, and especially it happened here in India. As a person that I've witnessed, Counter-Strike initially as global offensive, we did see a dip. But as soon as 2 came through, when we started doing tournaments, we saw a lot more. Now, I want to ask Ami as well, looking at this government perspective, right? How is it challenging, and how was it initially before pandemic? I think because this boost started happening after pandemic, after everybody started
true,
with their mobile life and gaming. So how was it there, and now how is it, and how is it growing as well from Indonesia?
So before the pandemic, the esport ecosystem is mainly I still remember it's mainly in game cafe or the cyber cafe we call that, and mainly it's PC game. And during the pandemic, since we cannot go anywhere, so we play in mobile. So the mobile gaming has become more powerful and more serious, and now I think it's getting better than the PC game. It's easier to access, and everybody plays mobile game. And I want to give a different perspective. I agree with Miss Kalina here. So we need to have a big dream, more tournament to encourage the players. But as I said earlier, India and Indonesia is a very huge market. It's a huge market. And in the game developer perspective, I really hope we can make our own game and compete in our region, in our market, in our own market. We Indonesian already start with Ivan. He makes his own esport game, and it's very. I think it's very bold and brave to do that. He compete with a lot of big titles, and he still did it. And the government support, and I think if we collaborate, we work together, just like the 75 years anniversary of Indonesia and India. I think we can make a very good game. I believe that. I really hope so.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to it. Now, Ivan, as he already gave you a little bit of that question, right? As you develop games, there are still challenges for you, but you need government and diplomatic support to make sure that the game thrives, right? How tough or how is it a challenge for you when you're developing a game, whether it might be, as you said, with values or for the esports scene? Because without the government, how much ever you try to push, it'll see a limitation.
Okay, so to develop like esports game is really challenge because back in the days in 2017, I actually already saw the pattern that esport is coming on mobile, and nobody believes it. And the difficult things is that we have to overcome is we need to convince people that esports is coming for mobile, and the second one is we can develop a title. That's the difference because there in Indonesia for the like third world country. I think a lot of people that underestimate our people, and then how come you develop an esports title? No one, no team in the Southeast Asian countries can develop that, and that is the challenge that we have to overcome. And I believe that this is also the challenge for both of us. I mean, like esports esports ecosystem right now is only a beginning. Like I said before, it needs more titles. And esports, we have to see esports become a bridge among cultures, among nations. How to make a relationship among countries can be closer for the younger generations. So it also proposing like a cultural diplomacy across countries with different cultures. That is what we're doing in our games. If you see, our games have a lot of similarities because we have like shared similar cultures and similar history, and that's how we are going to align that vision and with esports growing from only like an event becoming a bridge among countries, especially for this 25 years of diplomatic relationship with Indonesia and India. I think it is time for us to build that bridge again one more because like several things that we also learn in the ancient manuscript in Mahabharata, for example. You can read about Swanadwipa. It is one of our island in Indonesia. That means that back in the days, like we are in one big continent before there's a continental drift. And I think that's it. I think that's what we want to do. We want to bridge across nations, across culture through esports and with our titles as start. And in future, we also hope that we can co-produce, co-develop with Indian game developers to make global titles to push elsewhere in the world.
I want to add on to this, continuing this with you itself, the discussion. As you said, we want to co-develop a lot more, bring in new titles, make more experiences, not just for one region, but multi-region and it expands. But also looking at it from the perspective of getting permissions, setting regulations. How is it a challenge for you as a development studio?
Okay, so I already make a paper about the potential of creative industry to become growth sector for national economic growth. Back then in 2013, and 10 years later, like just this year, last month, our president just released presidential decree on accelerating Indonesia game industry. And one of the points, we already mapped out what is the challenge across I say the productions line. I mean, like from the educations and then to the incentives and then to the access to investment and to marketing and how we are going to do it to open the new access market worldwide. And all of this including co-development and co-productions with other countries as well. Because if we start doing this, we are going to have like knowledge transfer and somehow 2 years ago, the government, especially we discussed it with more than 20 ministries. They all agree that this industry, particularly, is very strategic, and it will be in the next rising of industry, not startup anymore. But this is the content industry we are start to racing it. Why? Because we can all see the growth of the gaming industry. The growth rate is faster than the industry can create a game. We can create a game like in 2 to 4 years, right? 2 years to 4 years. But the industry keep growing up, so there are a lot more opportunities than we can have right now in future.
I agree with you. I think I really like that you already had gone all the way back in 2013 to make this. That's huge. Kudos to you for already doing that, working on it. It's wonderful to see that. I want to head to Sriram right now. You've been on ground, and especially that you've been an ex-pro, and now that you're heading esports, what have you seen that's different with the government then and now to see so much in development that they are also supporting to make sure that esports is also recognized, as he also mentioned, right? It's not, just doesn't give a feel like it's a startup, but it's a big booming industry.
So yes, I mean when you're bring up the time when I was playing, when I was competing. So there weren't a lot of opportunities. I'm talking about the time in 2013 to 15. So there wasn't much of government support at that point of time because again there was not much of awareness about what esports is and how big the industry would be. The projection of that industry. But when you look at it right now, especially right after the pandemic, during the pandemic, when everyone were not allowed to head out of their own homes. So the one medium where you could also connect with the people whom you know, where you can also spend time with, say, your friends, which became an alternative at that point of time to hang out with friends, have a good time, was through gaming. And that slowly sort of got the industry to boom at that point of time. And if you look at it, in the last 2 years, the government as well has been very supportive of the esports industry, and they have a lot of initiatives that had been launched over the last 6 months to a year. In fact, a lot of state governments as well, they have launched their own esports academies. They have signed MOUs with publishers, and they are supporting esports tournaments as well. In fact, the one we had done in Bangalore in 2023, it was Skyesports Championship 5.0. That was also in association with the government of Karnataka as well. So they are seeing the potential in that. And like I said before, the awareness was not there 10 years or even 5 years back. And with how the audience has increased over the last 4 years, and in fact, influencers playing a huge role in that, creating content, garnering those views, promoting esports activities and events. So I would say all of this combined together sort of help the government to even step in and even try to push, and not just for esports, but even for game development in that sense. So there are a lot of associations and societies which is affiliated with the government, where the government recognizes, for example, the Indian government, a lot of game titles that are made in India and are based from historical stories from India, they also get a push from the government as well, and they support games like that too. So I see a lot of change in the last 4 years, and I'm pretty sure this is just going to propel the industry in the next 4 to 5 years at least. So, yeah.
Now, as we've come to the propelling point of it, this is going to be the last point of discussion that we are going to be doing is going to be the future. And I do want to start it from the players itself, because the future starts from them as they play, and we see a lot more players stepping in. Where do you see, as we already spoke about it back in the day when you were a student as well as a player, but now you're a professional esports athlete. Everybody recognizes you, knows that you're an Indian representative. What do you see the future, as you mentioned, in the next 3-4 years, or maybe in a year itself, because the exponential growth is unimaginable?
As you said, the growth is rapidly increasing. People are taking interest. So this is an increase, like the huge industry in the future, and there will be a lot of opportunities, lots of athletes coming up for the future, because there are a lot of much more games like mobile games, esports games. You have FIFA over there near PS5. Like every esport game has a competition, so you get something from it. So slowly it will rise, and the future is really good in it.
Tell me the same thing for you as well. You're starting right now, but where do you see in another year or so the future for you?
From me, in the future about esport is really huge. Like console or PC or mobile is a lot about tournament esport and a lot about the prize. So from me, yeah, the future about esport is good.
He's on point. I really like that. Looking forward to seeing a lot more from you, your team as well. Now coming to Serie, right? You've made this lineup. You're looking forward to not just a future with one lineup for one title, but multi-title. So, and also this collaboration that we are seeing that in India and Indonesia has done. We see a team coming in. How many more collaborations can we expect? How many more titles are we looking forward to coming up?
I think there shouldn't be any limit to that. We can create as many as we can. Because, yes, we have, in Indonesia, we have 50% of our entire population who play games. And I think maybe India have the same, if not more, because you guys have more population than us. So the market is that big. And as Mr. Ivan said, that the market growth is very exponential, but it's really hard for the content to keep up with that. So I think it's supposed to be like a joint force of like, let's build this this community, this ecosystem stronger and wider and bigger. So hopefully with this relationship that we have between Indonesia and India, we can create that, we can start that, so that it would inspire the rest of the world, right? So through games we can share some cultures. We can have like soft power diplomacy through games and everything. So I think it's very. I shouldn't. There shouldn't be any limit in that.
Well, that's
There
wonderful
is
to
no
hear.
limit in dreams.
Exactly. I think game in general is itself a dream that somebody would have thought to live. And I'm pretty sure Ivan has created games as such that he might have thought of dreaming and he's brought it to life. I want to move to Ami, right? In terms of, yes, future continuing, we've seen one collaboration here, 75 years. We're looking forward to voicing it a lot more, as she said. No limit is what we are looking forward to.
No limit.
Yes. So what more do you want India, Indonesia and others to in titles?
Let's stop feeding the whale. Let's stop feeding the whale. Make our own game for our own market. That's my dream. That's the goal. That's what should we do.
Let's look forward to it. Ivan, what do you want to add to it?
Okay, so because these two gentlemen and ladies already talk about our games and our vision, then I will discuss about the future of esports itself. I mean, I think we have to because back in the days, if we look into the history, Homo ludens, human play. So we learn a lot of things through play. In that book of Johan Huizinga, he even stated that even animals, we don't need to teach animals how to play. They have their own way to teach their younglings to hunt, something like that. So esports will be growing, and what I will see in future is similar to what Olympic, like so many titles, right? And there will be like triathlon, like one particular athlete who can play different games, etc., etc. So why not do it? We have to be able to see that vision in front of us and prepare well and look at our current situations in the sport industry and try to copy and modify a bit. That's it.
I really am enjoying this discussion with all your minds that you've been pushing for such vivid and trying to grow the industry a lot more. To see you all here on stage. Sriram, last to you here. We have this collaboration. We had this wonderful 3-day session. We still have one more day to go with. And we've seen so much here. And with our lovely esteemed guests here, where do you see us going through as you're here for India?
Well, yes, it's been 75 years since the diplomatic relations had started. So, this has been a lovely event with teams from Indonesia as well as India taking part. And like I had said earlier, when I had mentioned where there are a lot of similarities between both the countries and both the governments trying to push esports and gaming to the next level. And I think a collaborative effort in those areas on how do we build from this, both in terms of game development as well as pushing esports, like having an invitational event for the next time, and we can explore all of that. But again, like a collaborative effort with that would be the next way to go forward, and I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm wishing to see a lot more collaborations in the future coming in. I think as Sere mentioned, as you mentioned, multiple titles, no limit is what we are looking forward to. I thank all of you coming in. Amir Aditya, Advisor Association Gaming Indonesia. Ivan Chen, Founder, Anant Rupa Studio. Sere Kalini, Founder, Garuda Vishnu Academy. Sriram Vishal, Head of Esports, Skyesports. Team captain from Garuda coming in, Obito, Denny, thank you so much. And Harsh coming in is fired up. Thank you, lovely audience, as well as our esteemed guests coming down here. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. We are looking forward to a lot more with this 75th anniversary. Thank you so much.